Okay, I am with Matt Szubielski, owner of Redline Resources. The hardest thing about Matt is pronouncing his last name. I think I've almost perfected it. The easiest thing is working with you guys. So, what do you say, Matt?
That's right. Let's hear it one more time.
Szubielski.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay. All right. So, Matt and Redline sponsored our Kickstart 26 event last week. And Matt was one of our expert panelists, and he was talking about AI innovation in the workforce, and his specialty is the workforce. So when he's not on stage, he's helping great organizations find great people. So we're going to take a few minutes, Matt, get to know you, get some of the nuggets maybe for anybody that was there that maybe didn't write them down, that they might have heard on stage when you were on stage, or anybody that wasn't there to make sure that they get a chance to hear some of these nuggets. So thanks for doing this with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we'll stick with the theme like we had the day of the event, which was engage, equip, and empower. So from the engage side, who Matt helps and what he sees in the market, equip some practical takeaways that leaders can use, and then empower, one next step, and how to reach Matt if you want help. So you ready to kick this off, Matt?
Absolutely. Let's get it going.
Okay. All right. So um, for someone meeting you for the first time, tell us, who do you serve? What roles do you help most often fill? Uh, Anything like that.
Sure. So my organization specifically, we are a niche recruiting organization. And typically what we cater to here in our own backyard or domestically would be the manufacturing, technology, logistics and supply chain, and IT areas. Doesn't mean that there aren't other domains that we won't service. We do a lot of front office and back office support work as well, but those would be the main areas which we say we've got a pretty good grasp of the market on.
Great. If you were talking to a business leader right now, what's one myth about recruiting that you would like them to drop from their brains?
I think the biggest thing is that you feel that you can get anybody into your organization just by posting a role. I think in today's day and age, as much as you're recruiting a candidate, I believe a candidate is also recruiting you, and the interview is a two-way process. So, the old methodology of just getting somebody in a seat and them staying there for the remainder of their career has long kind of been away for the last 15, 20 years. The loyalty is no longer in the marketplace. So you do have to do a little bit more of a passive search for people who may not necessarily be looking, and then lure them to your organization and build them on more than just compensation, culture, flexibility, longevity. Those are all things that are important. And unfortunately, just posting a role and putting it out there to your network isn't going to get you the candidates that you feel are probably best equipped for your organization.
Got it. Let's talk about kind of equip the whole practical value side of things. The 2026 talent market is definitely different. What's changed the most in this market over the last 12 to 18 months? And what are the smartest leaders doing differently?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just selection of opportunity. I think now more than ever, just with the shortage of qualified candidates in the workforce, that people actually have the ability to kind of pick and choose, where they want to spend, their next 3, 5, 10, 15 years. With, the baby boomers quickly retiring, we've got a labor gap that unfortunately is just increasing every year and will increase probably through 2030 before we get more of the Gen Zs and existing younger generations into the workforce. So the big thing for us is making sure that we can find qualified talent, not only somebody who's just going to check a box. And I think where good leaders can set themselves apart is by advocating not only for their organizations but for themselves. In our industry, the biggest compliment is somebody who will refer you, right? Somebody who will refer an individual to an organization based on the fact that they've either had a great experience at that organization, they've worked with an individual who's been with the organization for a while, and commends them on the ability, to target that talent and utilize their own network to fill roles rather than just relying, on a post and pray method that may come from any various job boards. So, kind of being
Post and pray. I like that.
post and pray, yeah. So with organizations specifically too that may be small or mid-size, you're not going to have this brand recognition of a large organization like a McDonald's or Coca-Cola or General Motors, right? So you have to be your own best advocate to find the talent, to drive them into your organization, and then find the reasons on why they would be successful and why they would want to pick your organization over maybe a competitor's organization or somewhere else that they feel, is a good employer. Because bigger is not always better, right?
Sure. John Lucci from FTE Factory Advisors, he and I talk a lot, and obviously he brought this up on the stage, and he brought it up in his in the brief interview that we did as well. Is that with the baby boomers going away, this talent gap, right? Are you seeing folks, the best companies offering training to bring that younger workforce in to bring them up to speed while the existing people are still there and can train them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in the last probably 5 to 10 years, we've seen almost a tenfold increase in on-the-job training, and whether that's something that can be done through self assisted portals, or whether it's working with outplacement facilities or career advancement organizations. Now more than ever, you really have to take a skill that you felt may not necessarily be a 100% fit, and find a way to work it into your organization. So I'll give you a great example. I went to school for business management, right? I had kind of a marketing minor, and never did I see myself going the route of entrepreneurship and sales, right? But you just learn some things over the course of your career that you may not develop, until later or after college or vocational school or wherever you may decide that route is after high school. So trying to at least take a square peg and put it in a round hole and focus more on the person's capabilities, culture fit. Are they willing to come into work to do the things that you ask them to do with a smile on their face? Are they looking for growth and advancement? I think you have to invest a little bit more into some of those soft skills rather than just words on the resume or things they've done in the past. So we're seeing a lot of that, but ultimately too, we're going to be depending on automation and AI to maybe bridge some of that skills gap a little bit. And unfortunately, it's just a reality that we have to deal with because there's not enough qualified employees to fill the needs of large organizations and small organizations alike, especially as those who are aging enter the retirement phase of their life.
You mentioned AI there. What do you think is the biggest risk with AI in hiring, and what should leaders do to maybe guard against that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, and what we're seeing and what I saw in previous lives at large organizations, is we tend to over-index on predictive scale models that AI thinks it can solve for, right? So you've got algorithms and body language and capabilities that AI thinks it can spell out on what a good candidate looks like, right? So um, some of the things would be maybe over-indexing to think that what it's doing is creating this perfect employee or this candidate for you. But what a lot of people don't understand in HR specifically is there's a human aspect to it, right? Is everybody who is employed at an organization is a human. Until a robot can do a job for you, we rely on humans, to do the task at hand. And a human has feelings. A human has children that are going to be late for school and doctor's appointments, and things that just get in the way with daily life. So, having a little bit of a charismatic, I guess, flair to your hiring is going to go a long way to see that you're not just depending on a bot to get you the right person, right? You're
Right.
actually looking at what those person's values are, what their culture is, to come into an organization, and how they might be fit. So, while it's great that we've got some work streams that AI can certainly reduce, whether it's time to hire or time to fill, we need to recognize still that, we are hiring a human to do a job, so we do need to have some human interface within the hiring process. So, over-indexing on tools that say they're going to make your life easier is great, but ultimately, is it going to make your day-to-day easier, knowing that you're dealing with somebody that a robot or a machine said is the ideal employee rather than somebody you may feel is the ideal employee?
Yeah, we were just talking about Patrick Lencioni and the ideal team player, humble, hungry, and smart. I mean, maybe AI is not ready to pick up all of those things and the
Yeah.
nuances in there. Um,
Yep.
I always talk about when we're hiring somebody here that I relate it to a marriage, right? It has to be two very willing parties who are both equally interested in doing this. Where do you see the most out of sync, maybe expectations on both sides of candidates and the leadership that are hiring them right now? And maybe that's
So I
not
think it's
beyond like comp flexibility, growth. I mean,
yeah,
who
and I think
all that sort of stuff.
yeah, and the important thing to recognize too, right, is like, to where you principle it is it's a marriage is, a lot of marriages end in divorce, right? So it's one of those things where you're not going to hit the nail on the head every time. And I think good organizations realize that if they can utilize, an individual for 3, 5, 7 years, is that maybe the life of the new employee rather than your typical, start at 25 and retire at 55. So I think, some of the nuances that we come across between organization and individual is it both a fit for what the organization is trying to bring in, and is that company a fit for what the individual is looking for. A lot of times what we'll see is it's not all about compensation. It can be, hey, I'm looking for flexibility. This place will let me work from home 2 days a week, and I've got young children and I want to be a part of their lives. Or, I've got an avid hobby that I'd like to take advantage of. While, compensation is great and it allows you to do those things, maybe later in life if you're able to retire early. What we're finding now with the more youthful generations is, they want to live those prime years, while they're of working age, while their bodies are young, while their children are young, while they have the ability to do some things and see some things, because tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody. So I think it's flexibility both on the organization and the candidate. I don't, it's tough to say, hey, this job, it hits 100% of the things that I'm looking for. But if you can find, what's important to you, as a candidate or a prospective employee, and kind of match that up with what the company's willing to offer, I think you can find a very good marriage. And then just having those conversations and being transparent about what it is and where the company's going and in what direction it will be is, if somebody's looking for work-life balance, it's best to seek out maybe not only the organization that offers that, but the leader who's going to offer that, because no two positions are going to be the same.
Understood. Let's kind of bring this in for a landing here. If somebody was going to be hiring somebody in the next 60, 90 days, just in the near future here, what are a few steps that you'd recommend before they post a job or even write that job description?
Yeah, I think that, with how long it takes to fill a job now and with all the intricacies on the front end, I think 60 to 90 days is more of a realistic approach to what it typically would take to get somebody in the door from the time you post the job description to when onboarding ensues. But the biggest things I think you need to do is you need to utilize your network. You need to utilize the tools that you have available in your own office, whether it's your HR manager, whether it's your talent acquisition partner, whether it's an external recruiter, to make sure that your job descriptions are robust. You're not going to scare people away by putting too much in there. But ultimately, my role and what I tell some of my clients and customers and friends is, allow us to advocate for you. We can certainly lead the horse to water, but we can't force it to drink. So if you do all that homework on the front end, you're able to be more successful, but then also you don't need to settle on a hire just because it's important to fill in your organization. So robust descriptions, finding out what it is that you're exactly looking for and who the ideal candidate profile is to fill that position is going to be just as important as going through the interview process, because you don't want to be 2 months down the road and then have to start over again. But ultimately, you are at peril to whatever the market's going to bring you. And if you don't have, you know, a robust job description, you don't have a cachet of an organization who's growing, cutting edge, you may not get that candidate that you think you're going to get. So
Mm.
ultimately, it's a lot of homework and putting the resources in place before you're ready to do that. And sometimes that is an extra month or two, unfortunately, even though we always want to go, 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 go. You need to take time out of your day to make the time, to know that you're setting yourself up for success.
Okay, great. Well, I'll make sure that we have your contact information for anybody who's watching this. And so, if anybody needs help, has a great company looking for great people, Matt is your guy. So thanks for being a part of Kickstart, Matt. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for all the work that you do for us as well.
Likewise, thanks for having me, and looking forward to continuously supporting you guys as you do more of these events.
You got it. Thanks.
Yep, have a good day, man.